Welcome to episode 2, Bourbon Madness. Welcome to Bourbon Sauce, where we discuss topics and get sauced on bourbon in the process. We'll try and keep it PG, but no promises, as we'll try to stay true to ourselves and be as unfiltered and blunt as possible. Grab your favorite bourbon and join us for the show. Before we get into it, what do you got? What are you sipping on there, Ryan?
I am working on this bottle of Snake Eater Bourbon by Leatherwood.
Oh, okay. Picking up where we left off on the last episode then.
Absolutely.
Okay, well, I switched it up. I'm going with the Old Forester Statesman. So it's a 95 proof bourbon. We're going to see how this goes.
Bougie. Bougie. Cheers.
Cheers. So, today's topic, we're going to discuss the madness that is the NCAA Men's Basketball Championship Tournament. And we got a bunch of things we want to talk about. I'm sure we're going to end up having some more funny stories. And as we get more sauced, it'll get interesting. So, first of all, who did you predict? Or did you do multiple brackets and predict different winners for each of those?
Well, sadly, I'm a one bracket kind of guy. So I went one bracket only, and I picked Tennessee and Gonzaga in the Final Four, with Tennessee beating Gonzaga 71-69. Yeah.
So you're a one-team guy, which that will bring us to one of the other questions in a minute. But for me, I do multiple brackets because I like to participate in different events with other people. And so in one of them, I picked Houston to win it all. Another one, I picked Bama to win it all. And another, I did Gonzaga to win it all. But one of those three will actually win it. But we'll see, because there's been a lot of upsets, especially yesterday, with some teams that should have won, and they didn't. It's been crazy. This year's probably the craziest that I can remember in the years past. Do you have a team that you always pick to win, no matter where they're ranked in the bracket?
No.
No.
That's
shocking. I thought for sure you would have picked Tennessee.
You would think that, but the fact is, me picking a bracket is kind of like masturbating in the dark. You just kind of
going with what you feel.
You just give it with, you go with the feel and the motion, and wherever it lands, it lands. So that's kind of how my bracket was. I mean, it turned out good up, through the second round for most of my bracket. And then it just kind of went to shit when Tennessee decided to be like a teenager on prom night and just kind of come out the gate strong. And then before the start of the second half, they just kind of flatlined on me.
Yeah, most of my brackets were total crap. I have one that I think I got 70% of my picks correct. I remember years past I was a lot higher than that. So it's been crazy this year. I was not anticipating Kansas to lose as early on as they did. That one kind of hurt because I had Kansas making it to the Final Four in almost every single one of my brackets. So my Final Fours are rough right now. I think for the Final Four, I'm at like a 50% chance of being right, whereas years past, I've been at least 75% correct. So this has been a tough year.
See, and I had Arkansas squeaking past Kansas and moving on to the Sweet 16, which they did, right?
Mm-hmm.
Now, I will say I typically have a team that if this coach's team makes it into the bracket, I typically pick his team to make it to at least the Sweet 16 every time if his team is in it.
Now, which coach is this?
Rick Pitino.
Oh, the legendary Pitino. The man who loves to get prostitutes.
I mean, technically it was, one of the coaches got it for the teams, but potato.
Hey, I'm not going to fault a man for having some desires and wanting to get himself some, Hey, if the wife's not putting out, you might as well go ahead and find it elsewhere, right?
If that, if you want to swing that way, you swing that way. But so I picked Iona, right? And I picked Iona all the way through Sweet 16. And then I had Arkansas beating them.
Uh-huh.
Iona got slaughtered by UConn, and then UConn went on to slaughter everybody else.
Interesting. Yeah, UConn, I definitely had making it to the Sweet 16, but I didn't have them going beyond because Kansas was supposed to continue and win. So now the fact that UConn has just buried everybody they've been playing. I think if they were to reseed this year, there'd be a lot different seeding, and possibly some of the teams that even were in the original brackets from the beginning wouldn't even be there. I think Purdue was highly overranked this year going into the tournament, as it showed when a number 16 team beats a number 1 team. It's like, come on, man, you got to do better than that. It's not unheard of. It's happened in years past. It is very rare that all 4 number 1 seeds make it to the Final Four. But for them to get knocked out right off, man, that's got to be demoralizing for those kids. It's like, hey, we got the hottest girl in the school, and then some other guy from another school comes and steals her.
Right.
It's got to hurt. It's got to sting, especially if it's your girl,
Yeah, true. I got to say this, though. I remember in the South bracket, you had picked Arizona.
Yeah, I did.
Right. So, and this is what's funny, because you corrected me on this in our conversation yesterday, was up until yesterday, I had picked Prince. Okay. Bear with me here. I had picked Prince to make it to the second round and then lose to Missouri. Obviously, Missouri blew up and so on. But I picked Prince. Okay. You
Princeton.
Corrected me. Princeton.
Yeah.
I had been under the assumption that there was a college called Prince, and I'm like, well, I guess somebody renamed a college in the name of Prince.
Yeah.
So I figured, you go to college there and you get to listen to Prince's good music.
Talking about Cinderella teams, the Prince would be more fitting, or a princess anyway, because the belle at the ball.
Right.
But
you're using like ESPN bracket. See, I did the NCAA.com bracket, and they have everything abbreviated, and it literally was Prince. And I'm like, I don't know a school that's
an honest mistake.
Prince.
That's an honest mistake.
All right, Prince. All right. So you're right. That's a good play, though. The Princeton Prince. So they could be the Prince of the ball there.
Yeah, you never know. I'm really looking forward to seeing how this game plays out today. I think it comes on later.
They come on later today. There's 4 games today.
I think that's the late one, the 9 p.m. game. So it'll be interesting.
So you're a basketball fan, obviously, and I am too. So just out of curiosity, just to lighten the mood, serious question here. What do you call a basketball move where you drink too much alcohol and you still score?
Dribbling.
Slam drunk.
Slam drunk. Nice. I like it. That's a good one. I appreciate that one. When you talk about shock, right? We were talking about how the number 1 team lost to a 16. Is it more shocking when the number 1 team wins, or when a number 16 team advances beyond like the 32?
Honestly, in my opinion, there's nothing shocking about a number 1 team actually making it and winning. I mean, you're seeded number 1, so you already have high expectations. So if you do make it and win it, I'm just kind of like, meh, like, cool, you won, great. Even if it's my team, it's like, yeah, cool, you won, great, right? I want you to win. But ultimately, a Cinderella team, most of the time you'll find people tend to get behind that Cinderella team as they progress. As long as they're not competing against their team.
Yeah, I concur. I would agree that that's a true sentiment.
Most everybody likes that underdog.
Yeah, I think a lot of people like the underdog story. I mean, look at most movies. People are always rooting for the underdog. I think I'd have to agree with you on that. It's not so shocking when a number 1. I think because I'm so used to it anymore, where a number 1 seed loses and you're like, somebody obviously was being overseeded, but when a 16 or a 15 team, or even anybody that's not in the top 10, if you're not in the top 10 seeding and you make it to like the Final Four, it's like, dang, man, somebody really either messed up in the seeding process, or those kids are just playing balls out, and they really want it more than other schools. Because like if you think about years past when you had like Davidson, when Steph Curry was there, right? Of course, if they didn't have him, they would have never made it as far as they did. But he was lights out for them when it came tournament time.
Right.
And I think everybody was like, yeah, go Davidson, just like we were saying, everyone's all of a sudden now they're on board with the underdog team and they're pulling from like, yeah, we want to see these guys win it, because these schools will never have a chance of winning again.
Right. Kind of like with Gonzaga, right? I think it was 99. Gonzaga comes out, Cinderella team. They're running through, doing really good. And now you fast forward to now, and like Gonzaga's in it year in. And now everybody's just like, yeah, whatever. Like this year, Gonzaga's seeded 3.
Yeah. Well, and I think that's just shows how powerful these tournaments are, because all of a sudden you get this media embellishing these schools and they're like, hey, come to the school, maybe you can help us repeat and get back to the tournament, and then they become a powerhouse.
Right.
So I mean, I do love the fact that they do throw some of these play into the bracket teams, because who knows, maybe Texas A&M the community college would have beat Bama, and if they did, everybody would have been floored.
Well, see, and that's one thing that is so different between college basketball and college football, right? College football, it's rather repetitive on who your top are. I don't say it's boring. I love football.
I do too, but I don't like the
football.
playoff format. It's garbage.
Well, I'm not. Well, they're changing that anyways. It's going to a bigger playoff. But what I'm getting at is like your top tier teams in college football stay pretty regular, right? They stay pretty regular. Yep. They're on top of it. Whereas college basketball,
they're like somebody that eats fiber a lot. They're pretty regular.
See, yeah, actually, college football is exactly like eating a lot of fiber, right? Or what is that?
Metamucil.
Your day, yeah, Metamucil. They're taking their Metamucil, right? They stay regular. Whereas college basketball, honestly, you can literally have a 16 seed team become the national champion.
I think basketball is like, after eating Taco Bell, trusting a fart. I just wouldn't do it. So
exactly, it's you build your bracket, right? And then you go to chow down on that big 3-cheese, triple stuffed steak burrito. You're enjoying it. It's great. You're just driving through it, right? 20 minutes later, you're just like, I regret my life choices. I should have never picked that.
Yeah, I feel like that's definitely how my bracket's going this year.
I mean, after last night, that's literally what it was like. I mean, it's basically I blew holes in my pants.
We were watching that game, and I was like, you got to be kidding me. Tennessee should have won that. And we've talked about Tennessee all year, and I've said it. They're slow in the first half, and then they turn it on in the second, and then it's going to take that one team that's just going to be consistent, and they're going to lose. And that's what FAU did yesterday. They were just consistent, and they won out. I'm like, oh, so.
I mean, it didn't hurt that they had Forrest killing 3-pointers. So, I mean, he was killing threes like he was killing trees.
Yeah, that's true.
But Tennessee just, I don't know. They didn't show up, I guess, because they looked strong in the first half, and I'm like, all right, Tennessee's going to run away with this. And then FAU flipped the script on them in the second half and was like, not today.
And the Gonzaga UCLA game was really close. And I was like, this one can go either way. And it did. It came down to the end, which was great. I love games that are like that because it's a number 2 versus number 3. So it shows that seeding was spot on because the competitiveness was so close. It's like it's a 50-50 shot at that point, and you're like, this is a great game. So that's why when stuff like that happens, that's when I'm like, all right, this is why March Madness is great, because then you get to see 2 really good teams going at it who normally wouldn't play each other otherwise, and then you see who's the better coach, right? Which goes back to your point of like, if Rick Pitino is your coach and you're, I don't know, coaching going against some other team that's a no-name coach, and it comes down to strictly the coach, I'm picking Rick Pitino every time.
Right. I mean, like UCLA and Gonzaga last night went in at like two mice in a wool sock, right? They were just back and forth, back and forth.
Oh,
But I will say,
what?
yeah, two mice in a wool sock. You've
I've
never heard that?
heard that. That's ridiculous.
Yeah, two mice in a wool sock. It gets hot. I'm telling you.
Does one of
what I'm getting
them
at
chew their
is,
way out of the sock, or do they just fall back asleep after they're done in there?
they just kind of go at it. You never know. I've actually seen it end. Usually, you just dump them out of the wool sock. But anyways, I digress. My biggest thing is like I had picked Gonzaga, right, to go all the way and play against Tennessee. But last night when Tennessee lost, all I could think about was Gonzaga beating UCLA just so you could talk shit to Chris.
I messaged him today, and I was like, "Hey, buddy, like, how's your bracket doing?" He's like, "It's crumpled. It's in the trash."
Perfect, which is where it belongs.
Yeah. Well, mine's not too far behind him because, like I said, mine's at a 50-50 shot right now. And depending on how the games pan out tonight, I could be throwing mine in the trash. Because especially if Houston loses, that's going to be a wrap. I'm just going to be like, all right, I give up. My brackets are busted. And I'm just going to watch now for fun. But it's intense. Like, some people put a lot of money on these games. And I can only imagine the euphoria you get when you win out. But my favorite is when you do a dirty bet with your significant other.
See, that's what I was gonna say. That's the only way I bet, is I bet for fun.
Yeah.
Because if I bet for real, I lose my ass.
And you have a whole lot of ass to lose, so everybody knows this is gonna be a lot of ass. Yeah, no, it hurts. But speaking of dirty bets with significant others, have you ever had a girl that you were with that was as into basketball as you are and was willing to put something on the line?
I have a story, but I feel like I always start these, and I just want to hear yours first.
Fine, yeah, we'll go with mine. So I was in high school, and I was dating a girl, and that's most likely the spot that you would probably be with a chick that's involved with sports because, there's a lot of athletes in school. So she was into basketball, I was into basketball, and, I think back then it was probably the Tar Heels were going for the championship that year. I'd have to go back and research it. And I think she was a Duke fan. And so she bet the Duke would beat North Carolina. And I was like, nah, that's not going to happen. And the bet was, if I won, I got a mouth hug. And if she won, I had to cook her dinner. So you can see the vast difference in like the wagering. Like I wanted something fun, and she just wanted to be fed meat or something. Maybe.
Well, I mean, basically, it sounds like both of you were betting to be fed.
Yeah, I guess. Or I was gonna be feeding her either way.
Either way, you were feeding her.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. So I did end up losing that year, and I did have to cook. And I think instead of cooking, we went out to like Applebee's or something, because I was a high school kid. I couldn't afford much. But
I mean, Applebee's is pretty elegant back when you were in high school. I'm just saying.
Listen, all right, I'm not that old.
You're older than me.
Well, that's true, but it's not saying much. So, what about you? What did you ever have any bets with say lady friends?
I did. So this was with, I guess, the ex, and it happens that she drank a lot, so it was easy to bet with her when she was drinking. So, I made the bet of if my team wins, I get to take a stab at the old brown eye, All right. So she accepts that deal, and in return, if she won, she got an opportunity to take the old stab at the brown eye.
So if she won, she got to stab you, and if you won, you got to stab her.
Yeah. So basically, we both bet a brown eye stabbing. Yeah. So, I mean, technically, my team lost, but she didn't cover the point spread, which is what won it for me because she was all about the point spread.
Well, that's good that she won. I'm sure she was not thrilled at the idea that she had to allow you to. Well, she didn't get the point spread, but you got to spread some cheeks.
Nope. I did. That's what I told her. I said, "You missed the point spread. Now spread them."
Oh man, you could have been.
Yeah.
You could have been a different man.
I would have been a different man.
Yeah, you probably wouldn't have joined the army at that point.
I was in the army.
Oh yeah. Well,
Yeah.
maybe you should have been in the Marines.
Yeah. You know what? Maybe I should have been in the Navy.
Yes. The women's department of the Marines. Yes.
Right.
Oh man, we're gonna piss off so many people with that.
Gilbert, I hope you're listening.
So speaking of March Madnesses, what is the most memorable one that you can recall?
George Mason,
George Mason.
without a doubt.
Oh yeah, that was a pretty.
And
good
then
one.
they just kind of fell off after that.
Yeah, I was gonna say the same thing about Davidson. Davidson's one that stands out the most to me. But
Yeah, Davidson was one, and then I can't remember the school's name. I just remember they were the Peacocks, and I remember them beating Kentucky in overtime, right?
Mm-hmm.
To progress, right? But that's all I could think of. It's like, I'm a peacock. You gotta let me fly. You know?
Yeah.
And the peacock flew that day. Flew right the hell over UK, you know?
Mm-hmm.
But that just goes to show you, honestly, what one and done teams are capable of, right?
Mm-hmm.
Right? UK is prime example of one and done. You don't have a coach, you have a recruiter.
I would agree.
Oh, do you know how many family members are going to text me when they hear this and be like,
specifically.
"You should be ashamed." She doesn't follow UK basketball enough anymore.
Yeah, well,
But
she would
I'm
do
gonna
it
get
just
so
because.
many texts. Oh yeah, I'm going to get so many texts and be like, "I am so ashamed of you," and I'm going to be like, "Really, you're ashamed of me?"
This is
I'm
why
a
you're
Tennessee
ashamed.
fan.
This is why.
Yeah, this of all things is why you're ashamed of me. We already know I am not a UK fan.
Right.
The only time I was ever a UK fan,
which is weird,
was when Rick Pitino was the coach.
That's the weirdest thing because you're from Kentucky.
Yeah, but my father, the man who inseminated my mother, is from Tennessee.
Yeah.
Right?
Still doesn't make much sense.
It makes perfect sense.
Being raised in Kentucky all your life. But then again, I was raised in Ohio and I'm a Michigan fan, so who am I?
That's for damn sure.
Who am I to say?
That makes no sense.
Who am I to say?
That mine makes more sense than yours.
They're both rivalry teams.
Yeah, but you in Ohio, I feel like they would excommunicate you.
I mean,
right?
I pretty much am. So
I feel like if your family was Catholic, they would have tried to call an exorcist to bring out the Michigan demon from you. Come out, demon.
Yeah.
And the power of Christ compels you. Come out.
Yeah, probably. Yeah, I mean, it could have been worse. I could have been a Spartan fan or something. But
I mean, come on now. It's hard to even be mad at being a Spartan fan because, I mean,
they are Spartans.
Come on.
That's pretty.
All I can think of you with your beard is just walking up to somebody at a game and you're a Spartans fan and being like, "This is Sparta."
Yeah.
That's all I can picture. Maybe you should become a Spartan fan.
Yeah, maybe an honorary one just because they're,
right.
But they did lose to K-State, so.
But I will say, as Michigan fan, you can always pull a Red Dawn later on in life and be the Wolverines.
That's right. That is correct. I do love me some Wolverines. I think if I were to remember, that would be another good memorable March Madness. Is back. What year was that? When Weber and all them were there. And they missed the call for him traveling and calling the timeout. That was so controversial.
Well, now everything's replayed. We saw that last night. Replaying fouls, replaying travels, replaying charges to make sure the refs were calling it right.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and it slows the game down a little bit, but at least they're getting more calls correct. which
Right. Well, I mean, the games are slowed down anyways. If you go to a game in person, there's so many commercial timeouts now.
I know when we went for that SEC championship, I was like, what? Why are they stopping? Oh, commercial timeout. Okay.
Right. Well, and the funny part is like all my family was tracking, right?
Mhm.
I'm gonna be honored at halftime in the second game against Georgia and LSU, right? In round one.
Yep.
And it doesn't even televise.
Oh, that's terrible. So they
It
did
didn't
all
even televise.
they did all that embarrassing stuff to you, and you didn't even
Yes.
get on national television.
No, I was not even on local television.
That's
like
trash.
It showed in the stadium, and that was it.
You know, I'm
None
just
of
gonna
my
have
family
to,
got to see it.
I'm-
Had you not recorded it, they would have not got to see
We're
it.
just gonna have to put that in a group chat sometime so everybody can
But
watch
you
it.
know what was the best part about it is you have a Georgia cheerleader, an LSU cheerleader, and then you got my fat ass right in the middle in a Tennessee orange hoodie, just standing like, what the hell am I doing
Looking
here?
like the great pumpkin in between them.
You know, I'm like, can you just give me a game ball and not make me stand out here?
I mean, you looked like you were the game ball.
You know what? You're right. You're right. And I would have preferred, Georgia and LSU cheerleaders done a little dribbling, but it didn't happen.
At least they could have had the pom poms in front of you to mask it a little bit.
No, I wanted that. I wanted that orange to fly, buddy.
It's like convict orange.
Hey, it stands out. Everybody knows you're a Vols fan.
It's great for hunting, and if you're directing traffic, it's really bright. You're definitely going to be noticed. For all the school colors out there, it's like bright orange. Really? That's the color you decide to go with? Orange.
Hey, I like orange.
The Browns are another prime example of terrible color choice.
I was going to say, how are you going to talk shit about orange, okay?
I'm just saying.
You're bright orange and a swirl of shit brown.
It's true. Some of these school colors, though, it's like...
I mean, I feel like whoever created your color scheme for your Cleveland Browns literally was wearing brown sweatpants or actually better yet, wore orange sweatpants and accidentally shit themselves after eating Taco Bell.
No, they're playing football in mud.
Sure they were. We'll go with Taco Bell and shitting themselves. So then they got that streak and they're like, hey, the brown.
At least Texas's orange is like a burnt orange, like a darker orange, you know what I mean? Like it's
Texas orange is not orange. That is rust. That is from years of sucking and you rust out over time, okay? That's why they're trying to jump to the SEC. Let's not even go there.
Well, everyone's jumping to SEC because of the money.
Exactly. Well, not just the money. That's where your
100% the money.
No, it's not, because that's where your big recruits are going and everything. The most television exposure, everything.
Yeah.
Like if you compare the ACC network, the SEC network, right, and the Pac-10, all their networks, the SEC network is watched more than any of those other conference networks.
Yeah.
The SEC is the place to be. I don't care what sport it is. Volleyball, baseball, softball. I mean, good Lord, softball. Oof.
Well,
yes, sir. I'll watch a game any day.
Look who's still in for basketball right now. Which conference has got the most? I think it's Big 8 or let me see here.
Now I have to go back and look. Oh Lord, you're making me have to figure things out now.
I know
I'm three glasses in at this point.
We got ACC. There's an ACC team, an SEC team, a Big 12 team. I don't even know what the hell Princeton's Ivy League, which is the oddest damn thing ever.
Right? I don't know.
I'm pulling for Princeton. You know what I mean? Like at this point, I really want to see them make it to the Final Four just because.
100%, absolutely. But I gotta say, you get a team like Oral Roberts. I mean, what is that, like a dental school?
I have no idea.
I feel like that's a dental school, and
it's either that or it's a fellatio school.
The dentist's name was Roberts, and they're like, we'll just call it Oral Roberts.
Yeah,
right? Well, you see what happened to Oral. Like, they had talked about Oral Roberts being a Cinderella team.
Yeah.
Duke disproved that quickly.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, Duke's like, no. Let's see how good your oral skills are.
Yeah, I think.
Mm-hmm. And suck it.
I'm still surprised Kentucky made it out of the first round, to be honest with you. I didn't think Kentucky was going to make it out of the first round. I think in most of my brackets, I had Providence beating them just because I thought that was going to be the Cinderella team to have a shot.
You know, the
because
thing is, though,
we've
I feel
talked
like,
about that.
but we've talked about Providence when Pitino coached Providence.
Patino didn't coach Providence, did they? I thought they did Iona. He's not.
No, he's the Iona head coach now.
Did he ever coach Providence?
Yes, he coached Providence from 85 to 87.
No kidding.
No kidding.
Wow.
Yes. Yes, and that is the first team he took to the Final Four. He's the only coach to have 3 different teams in the Final Four.
Yeah, I
So that's
sure
what I'm saying.
did. Look at that.
Yes, that's what I'm saying. Yeah, that's what I'm saying, right? So you're talking Providence, right?
Yeah, he did Providence, Kentucky, Louisville, and now Iona, and he'll take St. John's too. Watch.
No, well, he didn't take Iona to the Final Four.
No, but I mean to the tournament at least.
Yes, right. But see, now had it been Pitino as the coach at Providence, I'd have been like, yeah, Kentucky's getting whooped. Not only are they getting whooped because, well, it's Pitino.
Because it wasn't that one year Kentucky played Louisville, and then Louisville beat them, and then went on to win the whole damn tournament.
Yes,
because I think they ended up beating Michigan that year, Louisville.
See, and that's the thing for me. For like I said, I am a huge Rick Pitino fan. Period. My favorite basketball coach. I will watch any team he coaches, and that will become my team because, honest, in my opinion, that man is an amazing coach. I don't care personal life. I don't care about anything else.
Mm-hmm.
That man lives and breathes basketball.
Yeah, he's a really great coach. I would agree with you. Everywhere he's been, except for the NBA. The NBA is the only place he didn't do well, and that is because you can't recruit kids to play for you. You have to deal with what you're given. And within the constraints of financial budgetary, whatever you want to call that.
And he tends to get very young teams in the NBA, by the way.
Yeah, and
because the Celtics, you're looking at the Celtics. He's taking over the Celtics after Larry Bird and I think what's his name, Parrish. Right, all the big names are gone.
Yep.
He's got a young team. He's trying to build it, but then you have that fan base that's so psychotic. They're just like, "Boo! You suck! You suck! You're just not progressing. You're not producing."
And NBA is not going to give you much time to turn it around. You know, especially
sometimes you need it.
I mean, like the Celtics. Come on, they want to win now.
I agree, but come on. I mean, look at the Bucks.
Yeah, but we're getting off topic. We're supposed to be talking about college. Who cares about NBA?
We were talking about March. We were talking Bourbon Madness, right?
Yeah,
and March Madness. So I already was expecting this to just become pure madness.
Yeah.
So in
the interest of madness.
Yes, it's madness.
It is madness.
Mm-hmm. I'm pulling for Gonzaga. So my Final Four right now is Bama, Xavier, Gonzaga, and Tennessee. Tennessee's out.
I hope I mean, it's possible, but I just don't see it.
I'm going to say FAU pulls out a quick one against Kansas State and ends up in the Final Four.
Yeah, their shooting skills are great.
And then it's going to be Bama, FAU, Xavier, and Gonzaga. I mean, Texas could beat Xavier, but Xavier is just always that school that it's like they're just Xavier is always ready to just throat punch.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm looking forward to the Creighton Princeton game. To be honest, I'm hoping that
I am too.
I'm hoping Princeton wins. I would really like to see them even beat Alabama, which would be a huge story for that school. I mean, it's already a big story.
I'm definitely not rolling Tide.
It's definitely a big story for them already. The fact that they've already made it to Sweet 16. Mm-hmm. And I love the coach. He's very down to earth, and he's like, look at these kids, not me, which is the way it should be, you know.
Mm-hmm.
So I love that. And even Patino's kind of the same way. He's always like, you know, look at my kids, not me, you know. But yeah, I think that's a good choice on who you think is going to win.
You know what? No? I got one more for you.
Okay.
And this will just segue into the ending because, you know, basically this is going to kill all momentum at this point. Anyways, What do you call a piece of cheese that likes to shoot hoops?
What?
Swish.
Swish cheese. Nice. You're the corniest dude I know.
I mean,
You should be. You should be a Nebraska fan. You're so corny.
I should be a Cornhusker, but
Yeah.
I can't bring myself to do it. My aunt is a Cornhusker, and
you're gonna you almost got cornholed one time.
Hey, almost only counts in horseshoes and hand grenades.
That's true.
All right.
So, well,
on that note,
we appreciate everybody for listening in. This has been another loony episode where we got sauced. All right. Well, thanks for listening in. Tune in next time. Until then, get saucy. Cheers.